Ooh.
You guys decide to spend the rest of the evening at Crayley's. Um, is there anybody that doesn't want to spend the night here? You guys, um, after the combat, um, River diligently kind of returns the area around your home, Crayley, to its natural state. Um, Although there are many more flowers now blooming. Um, what do you guys want to do with the bodies of Larissa, Zaj, and Amric?
Ludo.
Loot them?
Um,
Well,
And then throw him
Delos
in
is
the
gonna
river.
keep Amic's body.
well,
Oh, okay.
here's their loot. Here's their magical items.
Ooh.
Uh, the flame tongue. Um, is a long sword. Amric's dancing sword, which I kind of forgot he had, and I also kind of forgot to use him the first 2 rounds of combat. Um, the dancing sword can be any weapon you choose it to be, any melee weapon.
I don't know how you guys want to distribute this, but I would love the Cape of Malbec and the Ring of Invisibility. If no one takes the Dancing Sword, I'll take it, but those are the three things I would just want, if you guys are okay with it.
Cool with it.
Yeah, I'll take a Ring of Spell Storing if we're okay with that.
Yeah. I would take the Cloak of Displace and Crown of Thorns if everyone's okay with that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Rayleigh, I think you should have the short bow of Warn.
Gotcha. Crayley will take it, and not necessarily equip it, but he will take it.
Um, the flame tongue Crayley, even though it's a long sword, it is a finesse weapon. It also gives fire resistance.
Okay. I mean, if nobody else wants,
I know you prefer ranged combat, but in case you wanted a
I do.
backup weapon.
I mean, if nobody wants it, I will take it. I currently do not have a melee weapon at all. So
Yes, take it.
okay.
Yeah, just take it.
All right. I will take the flame tongue.
Um, is there anything on there that is unclaimed? The breastplate living armor is a +1. If you guys don't know what the living armor is, I believe it's kind of interesting, but it's also kind of it has kind of like some positive and negative effects to it. It gives you resistance to necrotic poison and psychic damage. But it is called living armor for a reason, in that it requires attunement, and when you attune to it, it has a symbiotic nature. The armor cannot be removed from you while you are attuned to it, and you can't voluntarily end your attunement to it. You can only end your attunement with a spell that ends a curse. The armor requires fresh blood to be fed to it. Immediately after you finish any long rest, you must either feed half of your remaining hit dice, not HP, hit dice, to the armor, or take 1 level of exhaustion.
Hi.
Wow.
Crayley does not want that. Thinking that it's attached to Zaj.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Don't want that. I don't. The rope of eyes.
River would be able to remove it from him. Even in death, it clings to his body.
Gotcha. Not for Crayley.
I believe we still have another ring of spell storing.
Yeah.
And a rod of the Pact Keeper.
Anything that is, whatever items you're claiming for your characters, just, add them to your character sheets. Anything that nobody's going to claim, put it in the party loot, and it can be liquidated at the Silver Spire, exchanged for something more useful, or just turned into coin.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. So I have a ring of spell storing, a rod of the Pact Keeper, robe of eyes. Did someone take the crown of thorns?
Yeah.
Okay. Living armor. And I believe that's it.
Cloak of Displacement, did somebody take that?
Yeah.
Cool.
There we go.
I thought it was going to be a little harder for you guys to earn that stuff, but goddamn
Old person really
goddamn
picked
old
out.
person, yeah. It's one of those things where action economy just always tends to edge out CR when you're balancing combat. Is there anything any of you would like to do before morning?
Sylvie's gonna
Hmm.
sit up in her room,
Go.
or not her room, on the floor, and she's gonna make some potion, or not potion, poison, her poisoner's kit.
Yeah, what's that, like one... You gonna attempt, like, 1 per hour or something like that?
I have the poisoner feat, so if I, like, spend 50 gold pieces, I can make, like,
Oh, cool. Equal to
Yeah.
your proficiency bonus, okay. The number of doses of potent poison. potent poison. I guess we have to determine what that. Oh, okay, I see. Okay, yeah. How much GP worth of materials do you expend?
Um, I'd say probably 100.
Okay, you make 2 doses. Um, unable to sleep. Sort of solving this years of hunting this person is finally over, for you. But she's done you one last wound and left you with this problem to deal with, even in death. And you stay up working on your poisons. River's kind of sitting at the table as you're sitting on the floor, and she had pulled a book out of her traveling gear and is kind of reading it by candlelight as you're fiddling with your poisoner's kit. And she says, have you been doing that long? Your technique is quite interesting.
Kinda. Actually, your nephew's the one who kind of showed me how to do this.
It seems as though I've been away from home for too long. Things change a lot faster in the city than they do out in the wilds.
It would be nice to live out by it.
There are places in the forest that are quiet indeed, but with every passing day, man seeks to make his mark farther and farther. The cities expand and the land turns over. Things become more unnatural. What are you going to do now? It seems as though you had some sort of relationship with that woman.
She murdered everyone in my family. This coin that she shattered into pieces, her soul, and I was able to connect with her through it, but now I can't. So I guess the next thing on my list, try and figure out how to fix it.
She says, I'm sorry to hear that about your family, dear. Crayleigh's mother was my sister. We were quite close as children. But obviously we chose different paths for our lives. I wish I had visited home more often, now that she's gone. I suppose it goes to show you that you just shouldn't take things that are special to you for granted.
Yeah.
They can be here one day and gone the next. You're Elven, aren't you?
Yeah.
Might be a bit cliche, but I know quite a few elves. Have you ever been to the Feywild?
I always talked about going there when I was younger, but my mother always said it was too dangerous for me. Called me a troublemaker with a heart. said I would cause too much trouble over there, even if it was for the right reason.
And here you are, sitting on the floor, brewing little poisons. She wasn't wrong about you.
No, that she wasn't.
Um,
Sister and I were always the angel and the devil. I was the devil, she was the angel.
I've heard some of my elven friends tell stories about their people. They mentioned something, about elven siblings being quite rare in some circumstances. Is your sister a twin?
Yeah, she is. Not very often that you see twin up.
It's a special bond indeed. Perhaps that's why her spirit hangs around. The two of you are connected quite deeply, from what I've heard from the elves.
Yeah.
Things might seem dim now, but I wouldn't give up hope. As long as the flame of your heart burns, your sister's flame could not be extinguished.
River. I really appreciate.
I'm sure that Captain Lightheart's companion will be able to point you in the right direction.
I hope so.
She looks over at Crayley and his mother, and we're at what are you doing, Delos? Thirstwell's kind of
Delos?
snoozing on the one of the beds there in the corner.
Delos is on the floor, awake, sort of waiting for the others to fall asleep.
What are you doing, Mavathor?
Is the fireplace lit?
No.
Hmm. He'll, if there's any wood in there, he'll s- start a small fire in there.
You get the fire going, and River kind of turns towards you as you get the kindling lit, and a few of the half-burned logs kind of catch slowly, and it begins to drip a bit of warmth into the cabin in the corner there, although there's still sort of a portion of the house that's just open air from the tidal wave putting out the flames. River kind of holds up her palm, and the flames grow a bit larger. She says, "What about you? How did you get mixed up in all of this?"
It's a long story, but make it short. I was working for the Van Thampers for a short time, and then upon realizing that they were the causality of the death cults and their indiscriminate carnage, I decided to make a stand against them. But I was caught trying to report my findings to my cousin, Thorn, and they helped me out, and so I helped them out.
I noticed that symbol upon your shield. It's represents Asmodeus, does it not?
Indeed, it does.
I don't know as much as I should about the politics of the city, but I do know that the Van Thampers were quite a powerful family. And it's odd for one that upholds such a sigil so blatantly would be so forthcoming with good deeds and helping others. What makes a man who carries the torch for Asmodeus find such a principled stance in the world?
Yeah. I suppose I see less so the good of it all and more so the law of it. If we succumb to chaos, we're no better than demons, but if we uphold our own individual codes of honor, I suppose that is what appeals to my morality more than the good deeds.
That's an interesting and nuanced outlook, one that I'm sure you're not afforded very often.
I get away with it where I can.
Well, we're glad you were here this evening. I doubt without your help, things would have turned out the way they did.
Hmm.
Thank you for, assisting my family in seeing a new day.
Of course. And he'll go back to just kind of staring at the fire.
What is, Crayley doing?
I assume sleeping. Just sleeping next to his mom. Kind of exhausted from everything.
River, turns back to you, Sylvie, and, she says, it looks like you're almost finished up there, dear. You should probably try and get some rest. I'll be up a while still to keep an eye on things.
I put all of the stuff aside, start getting comfortable on the floor.
You guys get a long rest. You wake up in the morning and the rain has drizzled out. Born in character is already halfway through cooking a large breakfast. There's stuff cooking on the stove and plates of things that have already been laid out on the table. As you wake up, he turns to you, Crayley, and says, I hope you don't mind.
Oh, please. Thank you.
He says, sort of, as everyone's kind of woken up, it's been a heavy few days here in Baldur's Gate, but I haven't had the time to properly offer my thanks in these last few days. All of you have gone above and beyond what I'd asked you to do. Baldur's Gate has been tilting the wrong way for a long time. But your deeds in just the span of a few short days have taken great measures to steady the ship. And although I'm sure that all of this is by far from over, I offer you my humble and sincere thanks. On behalf of myself and on behalf of the city. I'm sure that the Raven Guard will want to meet with you all soon. I don't know what all of your plans are going to be next, but I was hoping that you might help me see this through. There are still more challenging days ahead, and by your actions, I believe that I can count on all of you.
What would you ask of us?
Well, I hate to say it, but from what you told me, Mavathor, it sounds as though Zariel is truly returned to the material plane.
I don't know that truthfully. We only saw her for about a minute while she made her speech and then disappeared in a great blaze. For all we know, she could have went back to the Nine Hells.
Nevertheless, some of the events that have happened in the past few days have been like a domino effect. Just one after another. My companion from Candlekeep might be able to help us shed light on more than just your soul coin, Sylvie, but on the events that have been taking place here. She, as I said, specializes in the outer planes. You know, the story is older than I, but I could tell you a bit more of what I know of the history of Zariel and the part she's played here in the past. Not so much in Baldur's Gate, but in El Terrell. I know that Ravengard plans on traveling there soon, that the highest overseer is gone. He will find that it is his duty. But much like Baldur's Gate, El Terrell is sort of sprung up at the same time. Although El Terrell has always been downwind of Baldur's Gate, they have a long, contentious history. Baldur's Gate has not always been so kind to El Terrell. That is a relationship that the Ravengard has been trying to mend. Seeing as though now Thavius Krieg is a devil in disguise, it would probably be best that we keep that a secret among ourselves for now. We might have to tell a story about his death.
We could say he's still alive. I mean, imposters are everywhere. And those disguise self into that is Greek. It's the possibility.
I don't think that our deception has to be so complex as that. But El Terrell is a holy city, and as far as El Terrell's people know, Thavius Craig has been a righteous, thoughtful, caring leader for these last 50 years, ever since he was deemed responsible for summoning the companion. Zariel's history here in the Sword Coast goes a bit farther back than that. I know you've all learned a bit of the Blood Wars. And I know that even still it probably sounds far-fetched, more like a story from a book than anything else, but I can assure you that it's a real war that's been waged throughout time in memoriam. Many of the history books involving Zariel have disappeared or been collected by those who would want to wash away her history. But it was said that about 100 years ago, she made an appearance here on the material plane when the Blood Wars were taking place upon our very soil. To the north and the west of El Terrell, hordes of demons were rampaging across the lands, and it said that Zariel appeared from Mount Celestia, all holy and angelic, and trained a group of warriors to fight the demons. They opened a portal to Avernus and marched through, but many of the warriors she trained turned and fled the moment they arrived in Avernus. They abandoned her, and although the demons followed back into the first layer of hell, nobody ever could say what happened to her. But the last time she was seen, she was a celestial. Hopefully my companion and Candlekeep will be able to tell us more. If anyone has more detailed history of the Blood Wars and what might have happened from a century ago until now, it will be her.
You had mentioned that Baldur's Gate hasn't always been kind to El Terrell, and that apparently there's a team being dispatched to assess El Terrell. Do you think that Baldur's Gate, if given the opportunity, would attempt to annex El Terrell?
I don't think that El Terrell accept that. I think that what Ola Ravengard wants is for the tensions between the two cities to end. For the history to be mended. And for a new one to be written. One where the two cities work together, but still remain separate. It is the nobles in the upper city that have held on to their power and their wealth that has been the source of the long tension between Elturel and Baldur's Gate. And as Baldur's Gate has continued to tumble into violence and poverty and darkness, Elturel has chosen a higher path. I suppose at this point many of the citizens of Elturel look down upon us, and to be honest, I wouldn't blame them. But the Raven Guard wants a brighter future for all of us. It's not something that the city can do alone. Especially now that Raven Guard has disbanded the Flaming Fist. There's no telling what the outcome of that will be.
Lightheart, Vorn, if I may call you that. I'm sorry, hard to trust you right now. I mean, I believe we have all been truthful with each other, but then here you are, keeping hold onto one of your biggest secrets from your companions. And I didn't want to bring it up now. Delos brings out the ledger with all the claims, souls from Zario, and opens it to the page with Lightheart's name and puts it on the table. I think it would be beneficial if you explained to all of us what deal you made 20 years ago. Whether it was good or bad or helped you find some sort of deity, I don't know. But I know I cannot fully trust you and go with you to Candlekeep or Elturel until you're truthfully and honest with me.
Avthor will kind of perk up at this, and I'll stand up and kind of clasp Vorn on the shoulder and say, "Chosen of Levanther indeed. I didn't know you made such a deal."
Captain Lightheart says, can I see that ledger, Dolos?
It would be best if you explained yourself first.
He walks towards you and he looks down at the page with his name. And he holds up his hand and taps the paper where his name is with his pointed claw. And he says, The years are wrong, and you see, like, some of the ink had sort of faded away, and when he taps the page, there's kind of like a little bit of ember that kind of burns in front of the 20 to make a 1. And he says, "It was 120 years ago. I was one of the ones that abandoned Zariel, one of the Hell Riders. And I've been trying to redeem myself ever since. I made a promise to Zariel before she fell. She still believed in us. I'm likely part of the reason why she's become what she is today."
You tieflings must age really slow then.
Avatar will shake his head and say, "No, most of us live just as long as humans. This comes as a
Della's
surprise."
thinking back. Della's thinking back to the orphanage and like that makes. He's trying to pull a timeline and is so confused.
He says,
He's like, okay.
"Well, there are some benefits to getting your morning sunlight every day.
I guess there is.
Haven't you ever listened to an Andrew Huberman podcast?" He says, "Although I did bind my Ariel, it was before she was a devil. It is, likely part of my contract that I will live out the rest of my days in this youthful form until I fulfill my promise of helping her end the blood war and cast every last demon back into the abyss."
So, sounds like you're effectively immortal. Because the chances of that happening are, pretty slim, as I understand it.
Well, I would imagine if I die, in Avernus, it will be for good. To be honest with you, I've tried to live as much of my life as I could peacefully ever since the day I turned back and came through the portal, abandoning Zariel and Avernus. There are more ways than the sword to get things done, most of the time. I have been waiting for my destiny to catch up with me. And the events over the last few days are telling me that it might just be here. So I suppose you're right, Dolos. I have not been truthful. I have been trying to recruit you all to assist me in the holy war that I abandoned a century ago. I've been looking a long time for souls that had the strength, the empathy, the fortitude to walk through the fire. That is my secret.
Delos gives a slight, wordless hug to my heart. And it's just like, okay.
You feel, for a few moments, he really kind of tenses up. But then you feel his shoulders drop, and he lets out this long breath, and he kind of hugs you back, and you step away, you see like a single tear kind of dropping down his cheek, which he wipes away, and he says, well, what do you all think? Do you want to try and help me end the blood wars? I can say this.
mean-
Whether you say yes or say no, the blood wars have returned. We can fight together. We can be consumed by it alone. There are some things that can only be solved with a blade.
I will fight.
For some reason, Krayley, I knew that you would.
Fight too.
I wasn't so sure about you. Mavathor, I know that
I'll do what I can do.
um, Captain Lightheart nods at you, Dolos. He smiles. He says, I know that perhaps our philosophies differ, Mavathor, but we do share the same blood. What do you say, cousin?
We can certainly attempt to try and end this cosmic conflict, but frankly, I'm not entirely sure the odds are in our favor. Are you sure this contract that you're associated with, it's airtight? You can't possibly try and find some of clemency through divinity?
He says, I turned away from my duty once in a moment of weakness. And I promised myself I would never do that again. It is not clemency I seek. It is redemption. and I'm willing to die for it.
See. Well, although yes, we may not see eye to eye, I don't think I can stand idly by while Zariel seemingly dismisses the rules that were set in place. I suppose I could come along for the ride. Who knows, maybe we'll go all the way down to Nessus and see Asmodeus himself.
Is that a good thing?
Depends who you ask.
Well, it would be handy to have someone along for the ride that speaks his language.
As I remember, he speaks all languages. He's a god.
Of course. Well, let's finish getting this place cleaned up, and I will send word to my friend at Candlekeep. Shouldn't take her long to get here, and perhaps in a few days' time, we will be ready to travel to El Terrell. And you guys get Krayley's place put back together for the most part. Captain Lightheart has some craftsmen come out to Sow's Foot and patch up your home. They ask your mother if, while they are working on it, if they would like them to expand it, make it any additions. They've been instructed by Lightheart to be at yours and your mother's full disposal to the best of their ability to build or reframe your home however you might like it.
Okay.
He sends with the craftsman a deed of ownership to these lands around your home here. Signed by Ulder Ravengard and the other two remaining living Grand Dukes of the city.
Oh my.
There is a letter with it from Ulder Ravengard as well, which I have not written. But you will be able to read next week. And you guys head back to the barracks with Captain Lightheart, and that is where we will end the session this week. Well done! You defeated my boss fight. Which I wanted you to do, but I
Get the hell out of me.
I didn't think it would be that easy. I was actually quite
You
nervous.
don't know how scared I was. Oh.
Well,
Before the session, I took up an hour.
That's the effect I wanted. I just wanted you to be scared. So, If that's
Yeah, it was fun.
It
And I
worked.
took like an hour pre-session of like writing tactics. Like I can do this, I can do this.
Just a couple good old fashioned hold persons, and that's it.
All we needed.
Yeah, man, Larissa, she
Yeah.
failed that saving throw like 4 times, I think. Man, just too full.
That was luck.
Two full
That was
rounds.
pure luck.
It was
Yeah,
so
yeah,
good.
yeah, yeah. I think she had like a plus 5 wisdom saving throw. Just
Wow.
couldn't make it. I had also a long list of tactics that the way I thought the fight might go, but just had to kind of set it on fire. But well done. And I will catch you all next Wednesday for more Dungeons and Dragons.
All right.
All right.